Welcome to our show, The Success Stories, presented by Trident Communications. Happy Diwali to everyone. I hope you guys are enjoying this festive season. I am Simran and would like you to introduce to our special guest for today, Major General Vikram Dev Dogra, the first serving Indian Army officer and only general in the world to do the Iron Man twice. To know more about his journey of success, let's welcome Major General Vikram to our show. Hello, Vikram sir. How are you?
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Yeah.
On our platform of Success Stories talk show, we are showing journey of success of our guests from different fields. And I'm really excited to have an army officer on our show. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today.
It's my pleasure.
So moving ahead with my very first question to you, how did your journey begin and who inspired you to be in army?
My journey began as a child. My father was in the army. My grandfather was in the police. And three of my sisters who were elder to me got married to army officers. So from the very beginning, from childhood, I was inspired by the army. I saw my father in uniform, posted to different locations. He took part in all the wars, the war with the Chinese in 1962, the Indo-Pak War of 65, the Indo-Pak War of 71. And that was the time when I was in class 6 when the Indo-Pak War took place. And all this put together, the blackouts that used to take place, I got inspired to join the army. And therefore, there was nothing else which ever crossed my mind. From the beginning, I wanted to join the army. And while I was in my class 11, I appeared for the National Defense Academy. I luckily cleared the exam. Then I cleared the SSP. And the moment I finished my class 11, I joined the National Defense Academy. That was in the January of 1978.
That's really appreciating, sir. So my next question to you, what are the qualities do they look for while selecting an army officer?
I think the primary quality that people look for in an officer is officer-like qualities. And I will explain what that means. Officer-like qualities are leadership qualities, qualities which will help you to lead the men you have to. Because what happens is that the army is the only place where you have to lead people even into maybe certain death. So people need to be able to follow you. They have to have that kind of faith and confidence in what you're doing, that if they follow you, they will not come out a loser. And nobody wants to follow a loser. So when you talk of officer-like qualities, they are really leadership qualities. And when you go for the interview, there is a set of people who are very experienced, who are sitting there and interviewing you. They ask you questions which lead them to understand your psychology as to what kind of a man are you. Will you give up in a difficult situation? Or will you come out stronger and lead people when the chips are down, when there is, when it may mean sacrificing yourself? So those are the kind of things. So this is the bigger picture. But on ground, when you are going for selection, what you must prepare for is you must have confidence. And confidence can only come if you are well prepared for what is coming to you. So you must exude confidence. Next is you must be positive in everything or every outlook or every question that is asked to you. You can give a question answer which is negative and an answer to a question which is positive. So positivity must come out. And thirdly is that you must come out as a genuine person. Whatever you have written in your profile, that I have done this, you must be able to back it up with your answers when they ask you questions. So that's what they look for.
Definitely, sir. You're absolutely right about all this. I'm an NCC cadet. I was used to be an NCC cadet, and I myself have experienced all of this while I gave many interviews.
Okay.
So, sir, as you became the first Indian Army officer to complete the Iron Man Trillion event, what is the Iron Man challenge? Because for most of the people, it's like a movie character. So what is actually it?
Yeah, a lot of people get confused about what the Iron Man is, because the children keep watching this movie called The Iron Man. But
Yeah.
this is a triathlon, and it has three parts. You need to swim 3.8 kilometers, which is either in the ocean or in a lake. Then you have to cycle 180 kilometers, which is normally in terrain which is undulating. So you gain elevation of up to 5,000 to 6,000 feet. And then you run a full marathon of 42.2 kilometers. And all these have to be done one after the other and completed within 17 hours. And if you can do it, then you're Iron Man. So it's the most grueling one-day endurance event in the world.
I can see how much energy must be required to do such thing. Really,
Yeah,
a person.
it's a really grueling event.
So, sir, my next question to you is, what was the toughest part of your army training? Like, what you consider is the most toughest part you have experienced in your army life?
Training. As an army officer, you are trained from the day you join the National Defense Academy till the time you retire as a general. You are learning every day. You are being trained every day because things are changing, trends are changing, new concepts, new strategies. But the toughest training which I is when I joined the National Defense Academy, because that was a time when from a schoolboy, you are the schoolboy, you are pampered, you're looked after. Though I was in a hostel, which was in Missouri, and we had a very tough kind of a school. But despite that, when I joined the National Defense Academy, the first two terms, that is the first 1 year, was very, very challenging as far as training was concerned, because certainly from a school environment, you were put into a military environment where you were studying because you were doing a graduation. And in addition to that, you were doing physical training, military training, all kind of training. And your day will start at 4:30 in the morning and it would end at 10:30 at night. And there was no respite. Every day was the same. And then you have the seniors to take care, to cater for, because they would give you that extra amount of ragada, which as ragging or as training. So I found the first 1 year this adaptation from school to military life as the toughest. In fact, I was for the first one squad of weak cadets, physically weak cadets, where I was not being able to pass my physical training tests. And I had to struggle and work much harder to be able to catch up. Of course, having spent that 1 year and that extra time, then I became, in fact, very good, and I passed out as the most physically fit and tough cadet.
That's really hardworking and really appreciating for you, sir, as I can relate to all this, as I used to be a NCC cadet, and even I had experienced the cane on your leg if you're not marching properly, or if you're not taking the rifle in your hand properly. Yeah. But that was a really good experience, I must say. That was a really nice and a different experience a person can have. Sir, how do you motivate the younger generation to join army? I feel that younger generation is not motivated to join defense services these days. So do you also think this?
Well, I feel all through the years, people have not ever been that motivated to join the defense services, because the defense services is a tough life. You have to really work hard to train, and then even after that, as you go through your career, there are difficult postings. People die fighting terrorism, people die in wars, people die in training. So when you look at it holistically, not everybody join the army because they are not cut out for that and they're not looking forward to that. Having said that, I remember even when we were children, in my class, probably of, where I came from, St. George's College in Missouri, there were just two of us who opted for the army. And I'm talking of 1977. So things have not changed. And now, of course, there are so many more options. People can go into, n number of careers. My own two sons have not joined the army. So people, I would say, have never actually been, that motivated to join the army. But Having said that, you can really motivate people if they are interested. And I would feel to motivate them,
Yeah.
give them, like you have a fete in the school. So you have an event like that where you show them the weapons which are used, how they are used, what is the kind of terrain you fight in, what is the kind of, life the army gives you. So when you get an idea of what the armed forces is, it can really motivate people. That may not still make them join the armed forces. You can be motivated to join the armed forces, but joining the armed forces is a different event altogether. But all these techniques can be used by making movies on the army, by showcasing the gallant actions of people who have, done shown fantastic gallantry. We have so many of them. The Paramveer Chakra series was one like that. So if you make all these and expose our younger generation to it, I'm sure they will be motivated to join the army or the armed forces.
No, like in some school it's there, because I was, when I joined NCC, I was in class 9. And through that only I was motivated. Like we were shown and we were told about what is NCC, what is army. So even I got motivated by that, and then only I joined it. But not
But
in all
you
schools
were,
being done.
you were motivated to join the army, but why didn't you join the army?
Because I think my personal opinion to not go there was, a person needs to have a really strong heart to go there and do things. And I thought that is possible. I won't be able to do it because of my weak conditions. That's why I couldn't go further. But all that I done is really close to me, and that was a really good experience. I had it. Like I did various camps.
Say you can motivate people to join the army, but whether they join or not depends upon, a totally different situation.
Yeah, it is. That is it. Absolutely, that is. So, so any memorable event or any unforgettable story that you have experienced in your career till now and you want to share with us?
Well, there have been, I have had a career of 38 years in the army and 4 years of training, 42 years. There have been so many memorable events. But if you talk of something which was, hilarious or something which might interest other people, I can't talk of military operations out here, but I can give you an incident, where I remember I was the commanding officer of my unit. This was in 2004. And we had a young captain who had just been promoted to major. And he was very excited because, it's a big jump, because from captain is like a minor and then you become major. So whilst it's not so, but the rank major makes you somebody who's senior. So he was very excited, and we had a party for him at lunchtime, which he gave. He gave a party to all of us at lunch. And this party carried on from 12 in the afternoon. It became 5:36 in the evening, because there was good beer flowing and people were enjoying themselves in the lunch. And we had a party for dinner which somebody else was giving because it was his birthday. Now, this party was not ending. So I had to finally, as the CEO, tell them that, okay, we will go back, take 1 hour break, change, get into our dinner clothes and come back for the next party. Now that requires a lot of stamina, because, you've been drinking since 12 in the afternoon. So this officer who had just become a major, so he'd had the maximum amount of alcohol because he was the happiest. So he thought that, he would take his time and come, because while I had said it that we'll all be there at say 8 o'clock, he thought, koi aayega nahi, late aayenge, koi 8:30, 9. So at 8:30, when he walked in, the door was shut. So he kicked the door open, thinking he's the first one out there, because as it is, the alcohol was high. And to his horror, he found myself, the commanding officer, and all the officers were already there in time. And you should have seen the look on his face where, from the happy and thing, he suddenly was, very embarrassed. So that was quite a hilarious event, and that it may not sound so funny now, but, at that time, it looked very, very funny, and the memory of those two parties stays for a long time.
Yeah, it might have looked funny. So definitely what you're telling might have looked. Wish we could see as well. So My next question to you is your views about the entertainment industry, making movies and series on army heroes and real army men stories. Like, you want to say something about this?
Yeah, I think, like I said, even in my first answer, that if you make movies which portray the army and which show gallantry, which has been done by various people in the army, it is a way to motivate the youth. Similarly, if you were to make a series or you were to make movies about the army, it would be a way for the public to connect with the armed forces, because this connect is not there. You know, the armed forces remain very insulated. They remain in stay in cantonments where they don't really come in contact with the civilians. So I think it's a good idea, and it's a great way to give exposure of what is happening in the army, or how the army works and how army life is and how gallantry actions take place to the civilians. But the word of caution here is
Network unstable,
they
yeah.
they should not twist things out of context, because there is always a tendency to give it some spice because they want to sell their stuff. So that may not really work with not only the army, with any institution. If you were to give it a twist which is derogatory, then there will be surely a concern, and people will protest and object. So making serials and the movies is good. I think it's very good. I grew up seeing all these war movies of the Second World War, of the Germans, fighting the Allies and stuff like that. They're very interesting.
Yeah, even I have seen quite some of the movies. They are actually interesting. Actually telling about what happened in our history, it's really good to know.
Yeah.
A person should be aware about what happened in the army time, in their history, with their countries.
There have been
Repeat
some
once
very
more.
nice movies that have been made, Hakikat and LOC, and a number of this
Yeah,
Paramveer
yeah,
the
yeah.
series was made where they had shown all the PVC incidents. That was, I think, sometime in the 90s. So a lot of work has been done.
Yeah, there are many. There are absolutely many. And I think people should watch them and get inspired by these.
True.
Now, moving ahead to the next question. Now in present, women are also joining army, but we have seen in few web series that females won't get that atmosphere there. Is this true?
Every individual, male or female, is in a safe environment in the army, because you are there, you are nurtured, you are trained, and you are groomed to protect other people. You're groomed to protect the nation. And if there has been an incident like this where somebody's got molested or somebody has misbehaved, then these are aberrations. It's not to say that, the army, women are not safe in the army because one woman got molested or one woman was misbehaved with. Uh, in our country, I think the number of rapes in our country probably are number 2 in the world. But
Yeah.
that doesn't make women unsafe in our country. It can happen as an incident somewhere in our country, but that is not, I don't think you can make it into a stigma to say India is unsafe. I know a lot of news channels do this. Delhi has become unsafe, UP has now become unsafe, so and so place. Wherever there is an incident, that place becomes unsafe. But in the army, these incidents are far and few, and if it has happened, to date, I'm not aware of this. I haven't seen this series also, and I've not heard of it. I've spent 38 years in the army, and like I said, 4 years in training. In these last 42 years, I have not heard of a woman being molested in the army. But if it happens, I think it's a one-off. It's an incident which happened because of whatever the situation was. But you can't make it as a as a stigma to say this whether the army is safe or not. They're 100% safe. I can vouch for that.
So, sir, what does success means to you?
Yes, success is accomplishing what you want to accomplish. If you set out to accomplish a goal or a mission, its successful completion is success. But I feel, having said that, the success needs to be gained in in an appropriate manner. The means matter also, and it's not just the end. You know, in today's society, people want to be successful, and a number of times they don't bother about what they do to become successful. You can bend any rule, you can, influence your way through. You will still be successful, but I don't consider that to be success. So, success is to achieve your mission in the way that it is meant to happen. That's what success for me is.
So, sir, it was really energetic and motivating talking to you. Lastly, what is your message for our viewers?
I want to tell the viewers that every person must have something that they look forward to, something that they dream for, a goal in life. Where do they see themselves, whether you are 5 years old or you're 90 years old? You must have a dream for what you see yourself after, say, 5 years, after 10 years. And whatever that dream is, you must believe that you will get it. It'll come true. And the way to get that dream come true is hard work. So you need to believe in yourself, you need to work hard, and you need to remain focused on whatever your dream is. So dream big, and work for it. It'll happen.
Thank you so much for saying all this for our viewers. Thank you, sir, for joining us today. It was pleasure talking to you. I wish you a very happy Diwali.
Thank you so much for having me over. It was a pleasure to be here, and wish you a very happy Diwali too, and all the success to your program.
Yes, sir. So stay tuned, guys, for more stories every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Once again, happy Diwali to everyone, and sir, Jai Hind.
Jai Hind. All the best.